This will be in the beginning of the video, but I'm going to give a trigger warning for some people because this video talks about LGBTQ+, including gender non-conforming, non-binary, transgender, discriminatory actions and words, and there's a lot of transphobic language that is used by cast members in this video, racism, mental distress. Just be warned that this video goes into some pretty heavy topics and some really terrible stuff. But I decided I would just give that out because I feel like it's just a pretty it's bad. I think yesterday, Hamilton got hit with a discriminatory suit. And I'm going to be breaking it down. And not only am I going to be talking about the article, but I'm going to be talking about the actual document that not a lot of people are talking about this subject or the document. I mean, my God, this document, it is quite literally Hamilton exposed. Hamilton is getting exposed in this video. So, and I'm probably saying this wrong, so forgive me. Suni Reed, who prefers the pronouns they, them, said that Hamilton has fostered a workplace that is toxic towards the LGBTQ+ community and trans, non-binary community as well. And this has been a very reoccurring thing with a lot of Broadway shows, particularly with this past year's Tony Awards with Jagged Little Pill and Lauren Patton winning. Now, what have they said in their statements? So, their dream is to always be in Hamilton, and they were so excited to be in a place that seemed so open and welcoming, and it was a show with black leads in it, and it was exciting, and they got the call, and they got the part of Man 6, and they were basically put in the show in 2017. I want to say that they went to multiple companies on Broadway. They were there from October of 2017 to March of 2019, and also playing Man 6. They also played George Washington, Aaron Burr, Hercules Mulligan, James Madison, and in Chicago from 2019 to 2020. As a standby, they played George Washington, Aaron Burr, Hercules Mulligan, Lafayette, and Thomas Jefferson. Now, they have also stated that the majority of the cast and crew are amazing people, but there are specific individuals, both in the cast, in the crew, and the producers, which they named dropped, and wow, some of these names really shocked me, are very problematic. Now, the whole thing why this blew up is that Riyadh, I'm saying the name wrong, but anyways, Riyadh said that they wanted a gender-neutral dressing room. Now, Hamilton, not wanting to do this, said, here's a piece of cloth, dressing room. Logic. Boom. Now, they did not say this was a good solution, and because of this, Hamilton cut ties, and they are no longer with the show. So you're caught up on the summary of what's going on. And now they have filed a discriminatory suit based on the fact that it was based on discrimination of a transgender person. Hamilton saw them as a kind of crack in this very carefully curated brand that they have, which is one of inclusivity and awareness, because that's what we all think Hamilton as a brand and as the show is. Now, when they joined the company, they were greeted with some bit of callousness when stage manager Amber White said that they were playing Man 6, I believe, said, your role is cuttable, we can do the show without you. Wow. And again, I hate to say it, but guys, the people that are on the ground every day, the stage managers, they're the problems. It stems all from them. Constantly, again and again, I am just seeing stage managers being the ones with the problems, the ones that the issues, the ones that are problematic. They said certain members of the Hamilton community made their biases and prejudice known to MX Reed. I don't know if that's how I'm pronouncing it right, but over and over during the employment. They were told to tone down their performance by fellow cast and crew members. And as an actor in a masculine role, it was clear to Reed that these colleagues believed that Reed was presenting as too gay on stage. Reed simply did not yet feel comfortable enough at work to tell their colleagues about the fact of their non-binary gender identity. Many co-workers would call Reed Miss Six, a play on words of Man 6. Just a few of the cast members who did so are Andrew Chappelle, Roddy Kenny, and Neil Haskell, who Andrew is a principal standby. That's Andrew Chappelle. You guys all know him, and that's very heartbreaking because the guy had a lot going for him. Not anymore, it seems. These male cast members took every opportunity to wield Reed's LGBTQ plus status against Reed, bullying and prodding at every turn, even making fun of the way that they walked. They were accused by these co-workers of swishing their hips, a stereotype often foisted onto gay men and transgender individuals. These straight cast members were given clear priority at Hamilton and had unfettered latitude for management to behave how they pleased, despite the openness of their discriminatory conduct. Reed was constantly subjected to frequent sexual and hypermasculine locker room talk. Reminding anyone of someone? Mr. Chappelle made regular comments about the amount of body hair Reed had, and on occasion mockingly called Reed Medea, a reference to a well-known Tyler Perry character for whom he dresses up like an older woman. Male cast members called them auntie. They would make very, derisive, I don't know if that's saying it right, comments when Reed would wear a dress to the theater, or on other occasions making a point of their personal mode of dress being inconsistent with the roles that they were playing. They constantly heard comments by the male castmates, and this is when they were on Broadway, about the Schuyler sisters' breasts being too distracting in corsets. As I said, Hamilton exposed. Also were told to take off their nail polish, but when they talked to the costume designer, Mr. Westerfield, who is the in wardrobe, said, "The girls are allowed to have flesh-colored or nude nails you can't see from the stage, but men can't." And then later on, Mr. Westerfield would then go on to say that later on, when they basically told stage manager, I think, about this, that they were trying to create an issue, insisted that the differential was not based on race, but based on gender, and of course this was hypocritical. Now, they also took an Uber home with Zillag Williams, and he said that he made extremely aggressive anti-LGBTQ plus statements, such as "Darkness has your soul. If you hear a voice in your head that says break up with your boyfriend, you should, because that's God trying to save you. I used to be gay, but I'm not anymore. I prayed through it. If you don't want to be gay anymore, we can pray together." Mr. Williams also wanted to see a ring that belonged to Reed, and he threw it out the window. Reed feared for their safety, exited the vehicle, and called another car. Mr. Williams also got into an altercation the next night with a dancer and pushed one of them on stage. And Reed reported the incident to Mrs. White during the show, who was the stage manager, I think. And that same night, Reed confided in Carvin Lescent, who played George Washington, and about what happened with Mr. Williams in the car, and he said, "That doesn't sound crazy at all. I've been praying with him." And Reed became afraid that both Mr. Williams and Mr. Lescent viewed Reed in aggressively anti-LGBTQ plus terms, and were attempting to pray the gay away. So, I mean, guys, it's just, this is pretty harsh stuff, actually. It really just is completely unacceptable. And eventually, Mr. Williams was put on leave, and the discriminatory complaint was never followed up. So then they wanted to get a contract in Chicago. They got it. But then they started the Chicago company, and they were told by several black cast members that during a rehearsal of What Did I Miss, Yosi Chakin, a white male, told the dancers to be proud slaves. And I just want to say that Yosi Chakin is currently the Hamilton LA dance captain in swing, so he is still there, just for some context. Now, Michael Ballaramadima, a resident choreographer, was told this, and he basically brushed it off, saying that he is from Israel, so he did not have the same cultural understanding of slavery. Then Aquin Watson, who plays Aaron Burr, said just out of nowhere, "I will beat you up," and then walked away. And then later, this was basically all came down to, it was a quote-unquote misunderstanding, as Aquin Watson thought that Reed when Reed was doing a choreographed number, was trying to fight him, and so that's why he did that. And then they were later told by cast members that this behavior was typical, and he was never reprimanded, and he has only gone on further into the hierarchy of the Hamilton Company. When Reed spoke with the equity deputy of the Chicago company and asked her to make equity aware, and she did, Hamilton did not include this incident in the show report that the company provides to equity, which, I mean, is that borderline illegal? Because, I mean, that's terrible. Now, Reed came out publicly as transgender and gender non-conforming, and unfortunately, people did not gender them right and took pleasure in disregarding their gender. Mr. Bellow-Medemo would constantly misgender Reed and then dismiss it. Male cast members would misgender. And basically, Reed sent an email saying, "Can we talk about this to stage management?" Then COVID happened, and then essentially, Reed goes and posts on social media about their experiences with Hamilton, and then Jay Hewlin, a contracted attorney for Hamilton, wanted to have a conversation. We talked with them about this, and Mr. Hewlin was brought on as a fact finder to help address cultural issues at Hamilton. Reed had no inkling that any of their social media posts or the content of the interview would be used against them when they asked for a gender-neutral bathroom. And basically, the whole reason why they were kicked off of the show was because of this meeting and because of their social media posts, just to summarize a lot of this. Now, one of the producers, Maggie Brannon, who did, ironically, Tootsie, Tina, Network, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, was a manager and an executive producer, was also one of the ones that was being very aggressive to Raheed as well. Rory O'Malley. Let's give it up for Mr. O'Malley, because he offered his own dressing room to serve as a gender-neutral dressing room, but the producers and the stage managers basically said no. Mr. Nass, who I think was in charge of an initiative of some kind, he was an associate with Hamilton, tried to reach out to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but then Maggie basically tried to threaten Reed and him for trying to contact Lin-Manuel. Reed and Hewlin and Maggie Bowen, all had a meeting with the company where they said that they would not discuss Reed's contract, and Hewlin said, "This is not a plantation. If you want to leave, you can leave." Like, wow. Like, you expect to hear this stuff. Like, I mean, it's blatant racism. I mean, Lin-Manuel Miranda's line of racism in this nation's gone from latent to blatant. It could not be more prevalent now. And a big thing was Nala Sostre, who played Peggy, basically was targeted for discriminatory and retaliatory treatment, as she felt that her hair was not being done properly and that there were not enough artists of colors doing hair, and so she started doing her own hair, and because of this, she got kicked out. And then after she got kicked out, they said that they were going to get wigs from Hispanic and Black-owned businesses. And it is clear here that Hamilton both fired the woman who did point out the deficiencies in the production towards people of color, and then blatantly implemented changes in line with what she had pointed out. And that's pretty much the pieces of the story. And obviously, Reed got accepted back in, but then they were waiting, and then eventually they got kicked out. So, big name drops exposed. And honestly, I'm very disappointed. And it just shows that I think that the transgender, non-binary community, the LGBTQ plus community, gender non-conforming, all of these communities are just not safe on Broadway. And for a while, I thought that maybe they were, but I'm starting to see that Broadway's just not accepting. It's not opening. It's not welcoming to those people, and it's not a safe environment. And the fact that there is actual bias towards gay people. Now, I know a lot, and I know this is a stereotype, but a lot of Black men specifically are very religious, and they believe in God and the Bible, so that might play a part into it. Not trying to be stereotypical, but I am. I am disappointed, disgusted, utterly blown away by the kind of 1950 level type of racism, gay bias, transgender bias. Cannot believe it. I mean, this is kind of behavior and toxic workplace that you would see in the 50s, in the 60s, not in 2021. This is not acceptable, and you need to do better, Hamilton. Lin-Manuel, if you don't address this, man, people have been trying to cancel Lin, but I'm gonna have to back them on this one. Because, Lin, you gotta get your house in order. This is your show. This is your company. Now, obviously, you can't be there for everything. Should we cancel Hamilton? No, because, listen, the system is bad, and there were bad apples in it, too. But listen, we need to support Hamilton. If you want to see it, don't feel guilty for seeing it, because a lot of those people on the stage are probably good people, It's just there's chunks of people that are not good. Now, if you don't want to support it, I 100% get it. If you want to protest it, protest it. If you want to call out Lin-Manuel, you should, because he needs to respond. And so does the entire OG company and cast members. And listen, major news articles are picking up on this. I think this will only heat up, and this is only going to get bigger. But man, this is bad for Hamilton, and it's just, I'm honestly in shock. I'll probably make further videos to try and explain it, but this video is more just giving you the facts and letting you guys react to it, because honestly, I was going to just make a video on the article, but reading the actual document, it's shocking. It's bewildering. It's horrendous. It's honestly very concerning. And I have no words.